1, 2.
Welcome back to the Rusty Junk Exhibition YouTube channel. For all you returning subscribers, hit that like button right now. Just do it. For those of you who are just clicking on this channel for the first time, we have a few diesel swap vehicles going on here. This is a 4BT powered Ford. Inside the garage over here is a Cummins R2.8 that we are building. We're putting it in an old Toyota. So what we're going to be working on today is a brand new truck. Neither rusty nor junk. I'm going to install a leveling kit on it. We're going to show you how to do that today. It's a lot warmer today. I've been driving this truck a lot, so I think what we're going to do, we're going to take Square Junk Harry instead. Let's see if that oil burning small block Chevy will fire to life. Oh yeah. The old girl runs better than she ever did. Here it is. It's a 2020 Ram 2500, the 6.7, and we're going to put a leveling kit in it today. This truck's got 1,600 miles on it, and we are already doing some modifications. No, I don't own this truck. This belongs to my brother, and it is a beautiful truck. You can see, when we look at it from the side, the front sits down lower than the back, as do most pickup trucks. We're just going to put a leveling kit on it for now. I think next week there's going to be another little surprise that'll really transform the truck. Let's show you how to do that. We're going to go step by step of installing a leveling kit on a 2020 Ram. Parts we're going to be installing today: Superlift. Part number is 40023. This is a 2.5 inch leveling kit. So we have hardware, shock relocation brackets, and the coil spring spacers. Pretty simple. We're gonna have to drill a few holes, and we are just gonna be doing this on a shop floor with basic hand tools, jacks and jack stands. We don't have anything fancy going on in this shop. Sorry for you California residents, you're probably gonna get cancer if you buy it. measurement from the ground to the fender is 40.5 on the front and 43.5 on the back. So that'll bring the front to 43 inches, giving us a level ride. Wheels are off the truck. We have the front axle supported by 2 jacks, and it's not sitting on these jack stands yet, but we have the frame supported just behind the control arm right there. Next thing we're going to have to do is you're going to want to take off the sway bar end link right there at the axle side. We're going to take off this brake line bracket right on the control arm right there, so that swings freely. And we're going to take the shock bolt out of the lower end. Alright, to get the sway bar end link off, you want to use a 21mm to get the nut off, and then a 10mm to hold the shank of the sway bar end link. With the control arm brake line bracket up there, guy, 1/2-inch socket. Down here for the shock mount, that's what, a 21mm. So we'll zip these two off next, and both sides are the same as far as those 3 things go. Just to be safe, we're going to take off another bolt that holds the brake line bracket on, that bolts into the axle also. That is also a 1/2-inch. So you're taking out 2 brackets for the brake line on both sides. We have the frame supported. We have jack stands and blocks under both sides just behind the control arm. We have the shock, lower shock unbolted, the sway bar end link unbolted, and the brake line brackets, 2 of them. One into the axle, one into the control arm. All of that is removed. This gives us enough travel now to drop the axle down to take the coil springs out. So slowly we're going to do a synchronized lowering of the axle, and we're going to pull the coil springs out. The one thing though, on the driver's side sway bar end link, the track bar is in the way of pulling it completely out. So as the axle drops down, we're going to gain the room to pull it out. So you just have to keep an eye on that and make sure that doesn't get kinked and gall up the threads or something. Alright, now we're underneath the driver's side. You can see completely disconnected, and yeah, you definitely need to take both brackets off that brake line, because now we have no chance of harming it. But with the axle drop down almost all the way to the ground, pull them factory springs right out. I want to remove this isolator too. It has an indexing ring right there, so you know it's going to go back in the same spot. Pull that out. We're on the driver's side. Put 1/3 inch bolt in. We're going to hold the spacer up there with that one bolt, and we're going to have to mark and drill another bolt on this side for the spacer mount. On some trucks, I guess, there is a smaller hole here already. We do not have a smaller hole on this side, so we're just going to have to drill a pilot hole and drill it out to 3/8. One thing on the driver's side, just above the coil spring bucket, is the ABS module. So we do have, let's see, probably about an inch before the a drill bit would hit the ABS module as soon as you make it through the steel. So very critical, you have to be careful on the driver's side. Let's get this thing up and mark it now. Center punch the hole after marking everything. What we're going to do now is use an 1/8 inch drill bit to drill that pilot hole. Now again, like I said, you see that module up there? That would be the ABS module. We do not, under any circumstances, want to contact that. So I thought I was going to be really smart, put a crowbar up there to block the bit from going up any higher. Well, the bit just perfectly landed right there and twisted off. We drilled the pilot hole though. And we stepped up to a 9/32 inch bit. Alright, final hole is 3/8. Now with your holes drilled, you can bolt up the driver's side spacer. For the front we use a 9/16 wrench to hold the bolt, and we did the nut in with a 9/16 deep socket from the top. That was easy. For the front one, what we're going to have to do is stick a 1/4 inch ratchet, grab onto the socket, and spin the bolt into the flag nut up top. So it's just tight. That's what I found to be the best thing to do to get it into place. So we have the spacer mounted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the rubber isolator. We want this facing the rear of the truck. This guy right here. And that just goes into this hole right here. Alright, we're set. Alright, with the spacer in place, we're going to take our spring. The wider gap goes towards the top. You can see this gap is tighter. That's the bottom. This is the top. And that's it for the spacer on this side. For the passenger side, we have the coil spring spacer. And we need to index the coil spring, that nipple for the isolator. That indexes the coil spring. We have to index that with the factory one. The way that's done is we put a bolt through here. The way the coil spring is held is just a long bolt and a big flag nut straight up through the middle. And so we got that started. We'll take our other 3/8 inch bolt, stick it through this notch. Get my fat hand up in here. There we go. And this will index. Alright. Get that tight. Now that we have the spacer installed on the passenger side, again, we're going to take our isolator, index this little nipple, the hole towards the rear of the spring spacer, which brings it back into the factory location. Now again, we'll take our coil spring and put it up. Reminder, the larger space, the larger distance between the coil is to the top. The shorter one is to the bottom. The passenger side spring was a little harder to get in than the driver's side. It took a bit of muscling, but no spring compressor is needed for either side. Next, we're going to relocate the shocks. So what you want to do is take this shock relocation bracket. It's going to insert into here. We're going to take our 9/16 inch hardware. Just thread it through for the time being. What we need to do right now is drill a hole. There's a hole here to secure the bracket to the axle. This way you don't have any chance of it moving around. So we're going to drill that hole out next. The shock relocation bracket is in. What we did was drilled a hole through here, bolted that up. Now we'll take our hardware, slide it through. Very important though, we don't want to tighten with nothing in between. So they provided this spacer to go in between. So when you tighten, you're not closing in the metal, it's just going to tighten onto that spacer. Alright, now it's time to do some sequential jacking to line everything back up and get this truck back on its wheels. First thing that we're going to do is line up the shocks, because that's the first thing that's going to hit. Then we're going to do the sway. So the shocks are first, bottom bolt, then the sway bar end link, and then we'll reattach all the brake lines. At the driver's side, got the shock bolted up, sway bar hooked up. We still have to tighten that lower link, and we still have to tighten the brake line bolts. But this side is essentially done. The other side, same thing. We have the jack stands clear. The tires are not torqued down yet, but they're put on. So let's set this thing down on the ground. Grab a jack. Right. Can you grab that? That was 3 hours from start to finish with filming involved. But if you were to just go at it hard, knock it out, probably get it done in 2.5. Let's get the tape measure. Yep. Good. So this, yeah. The stock height was what? It was 40.5?
40.5, yeah.
So we should be around 43. Yeah, and we are. Right at 43 inches for the passenger side. Let's measure the driver's side. We are exactly at 43 inches. Awesome. Let's torque this thing down, take it outside, and we can do a walk around. So whenever you do one of these leveling kits, you need to get it aligned. The steering wheel is going to be off a little bit, and in addition, the caster. So when you lift the truck, you go from, and I'm exaggerating, a caster like this to more level. So with these cam nuts in here, basically what you have to do is realign the truck to get the caster kicked out to that factory ride angle, which is going to help a lot with the ride quality. You can see the springs are just ever so slightly curved, and when you kick that caster back out, that's going to straighten everything back up. Go for a drive. Give it a test drive. These tires don't seem to grip all that well.
No, they suck.
Huh. Maybe we'll address that. How does it drive?
Great, like factory.
Yeah, cool.
Same as it did yesterday.
Good. The steering wheel off just slightly?
Not really.
No? Okay, good. Perfect.
Nothing, I mean, I can't notice it.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I think that's because, like I said, the drag link and the track bar are almost flat. So we didn't lift it enough to really make a huge difference, but still an alignment's gonna make a world of difference. Cool. So the Superlift Leveling Kit, it's 2.5 inch. You're retaining the factory ride, the factory shocks, the factory springs. How much was it?
Like $130 bucks?
$130, so relatively inexpensive. You're achieving a true 2.5 inch lift on the front. Quality of the kit, I mean, the hard parts are pretty simple. It's just steel. We were missing one bolt for hardware, and I'd say that's about it.
Yeah.
Overall, the kit went together quickly. It was relatively easy to do. You need to have some type of mechanical know-how and very basic skills as far as automotive and fabrication goes. It's not a quick, just bolt-on type part. You do have to drill some holes, and if you drill those holes in the wrong spot, there is the potential that you could do this kit wrong and actually move the spring location from a factory location to a little bit forward or a little bit back, which could cause some issues.